Hey, John.
Hey.
Thinking about Trey over this past year, do you have any, what was your interaction with him during spring training? Was he even someone that was, I don't know if he was officially in big league camp, but what were your earliest interactions with Trey?
Yeah, officially was not in big league camp. I think it was one of those, hey, nice to meet you, kid. Welcome to the organization. Wasn't very extensive, I can tell you that. But a lot more extensive since he's been here. So he's been on quite the journey, quite the ascension of the levels, if you will. But getting to know him a little bit here in the past month or so. Confident guy, pretty adaptable, pretty aware of what's going on around him.
Go up front with David, then Ben.
Hey, John, yesterday you said you were working through the decision on Bo, whether at second base, shortstop. What did you see from him yesterday that made the decision clear in your head?
Just kind of how he was moving around, and his comfort level with it. He was pretty open with me about just, hey, I can do this if need be, both with in terms of kind of taking a little bit of the physicality of the game off of him and looking at what he's doing at short too. So it's kind of a back and forth just to, play second at first. And him being open to it, with me was kind of all I needed to hear. I've seen him do it, albeit minor leagues, a few years ago or a number of years ago. But as long as he was moving around fine and, physically felt okay, you felt good about putting him there.
I'll stay there with Ben.
Just wondering, Ty France is on the roster. Loperfido came off. How do you envision using Ty France?
I think, it's a bat off the bench, probably, just looking at kind of the lefties in their bullpen and how we think going into the series our best way to help generate some runs, Ty has been working his tail off in between and I think looks pretty damn good hitting. I know you guys all haven't seen that, in real time, but even when we acquired Ty, he's a professional hitter, so it was kind of easy based on the number of lefties that they're going to have in their bullpen as well.
What was the point that he got kind of fully healthy from the oblique?
It was probably 2 weeks after it happened, to be honest, maybe 10 days, 2 weeks. He didn't miss much. He didn't. I think he took maybe like 4 or 5 days off of swinging from the initial injury. So he's been getting after it for a while.
Go to the second row on your left, John.
Hey, John.
Hey.
What'd you like about the 1-2 punch of Savage today and then Gausman tomorrow?
I think kind of, for one, how they've been pitching, you know what I mean? And how they can handle right and left-handed hitters. This is a really, really good lineup we're going against, especially at the top of the order, obviously. And it's stuff that can hopefully combat that, and suppress some damage. So you're looking at matchups and you're looking at how often a team has seen Trey, which in this case is not, which, we like, that part of it too. And, the rest and the recovery factor for everyone else. But it's a similar arsenal, but their pitches do very, very different things from different angles. So try to get out of the gate quickly with those two.
Third row, straight ahead.
Hi, John. Do you have any pregame superstitions, rituals that have kind of worked for you so far throughout the playoffs that you're going to take into the World Series now?
Yeah, absolutely. Starts with the route that I take into the field. I've been walking quite a bit, which is I drove a lot last year because of our record. I didn't want to be seen too much. So it's an easy walk for me. Plus my wife and kids have she keeps the car in the afternoon. So same route. Coffee in the morning, same time, and a few more that are a little bit more intricate at the field in terms of what color, what right, left you're putting on first, what watch I'm wearing. I got a lot. I'm out there.
Go to Mike, 2 rows behind.
Don't forget the candle.
Candle too, yeah.
As far as Bo goes, what goes into that calculation between preferring a compromised Bo at second base to a compromised George in the outfield?
I think just talking to both of them and seeing where they both are, perfect world, I think what George has done from the DH spot obviously speaks for itself. Both performance, comfort, all that kind of stuff. No one feels 100% right now. That's just where we are. And we always joke that no one really cares if you don't feel 100%. But I think just trying to play the game how we've always played it. If you want to take someone out at a certain point, who's that going to be, for what reason, and just trying to keep everyone in the best possible spot to have success.
And as far as Bo goes, he told us that he came to you and said, "Hey, I'll play second base." What was that conversation like?
Kind of just like that. I think once he felt like he was getting pretty close, especially swinging the bat, that's when he kind of said, "Hey, I want a part of this." He's seeing how Andres is playing it short too. And for him to do that says a lot about him. I think Bo is obviously been a big part of our team. He's been a big part of our year this year with the production and playing every day. But for him to kind of say that and kind of take a step back and while he's watching us play, just say, "Hey, I'm willing to do whatever it takes," even though he's been the shortstop here for 6 years, says a lot about him. So it made it that much easier, I think, and knowing that he was feeling that much better physically to kind of tackle anything. So conversation was pretty direct, and pretty honest. And Bo's been that way this entire year, more so than I've ever seen him, which is awesome.
Second row up front, Barry.
Hey, John, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Great. Is there anything you take out of what you did against the Yankees this year, facing the Dodgers? I mean, they had a fairly formidable pitching staff that you beat the hell out of here in the ALDS, and now you're facing the Dodgers, who have been pretty formidable. Is there anything that's comparable in how you scout and what you do against the two teams?
A little bit, maybe. I feel like we've been facing good pitching all year for whatever reason, whether it's NL West coming in here, NL East, AL Central. I think that we do a really good job of preparing accordingly, So these guys, big name guys, big time stuff, similar to the Yankees, yeah, for sure. It's similar to a lot of teams that we've faced. So to me and to the coaches, kind of every game is there's 7 one-game series, basically, is how we're looking at it. So every night is going to be a different way to go about it. I think that we have the roster and personnel flexibility to do that differently every night. Contact is kind of how we're built, putting the ball in play, making pitchers work. I feel like we did a really good job of that against the Yankees, top guys. And we're going to have to do it against these guys. I think what you saw against the Yankees was some extra slug, and if that happens, great. But I think that each one of these guys is going to be a different task every single night.
I don't have the microphone anymore, but just to follow up on the contact, how does your analytics translate to you guys doing contact when that's such the antithesis of what's going on between analytics and slugging around the rest of baseball?
I think we kind of looked at it, when you look at our everyday players, Bo, Vlad, George, Kirky, right? Guys that have been here for a while, they all can hit. They all hit for a relatively high average for the most part. And they all have really good bat-to-ball skills. So I think when you look at that, we kind of leaned into it a little bit. You look, I think we're hitting 296 in the postseason as a team, and I think the rest of the league is around 220, 218, something like that. When we hired Pop and Lou, we kind of said we wanted to be a very diversified offense and know which club to take out of your bag in any situation. So we knew we had guys that made contact. We surrounded those guys with guys that do make contact. The bottom of the order, the glue guys, the Ernies, the Miles, the Izzies, whoever it may be. So I think we can give pitching staffs different looks, and being able to score in multiple ways is big for us. Not waiting around for a 3-run homer. If that happens, great. That's kind of, icing on the cake, if you will. But I think that we've kind of zigged where the industry has zagged a little bit, to where putting the ball in play is pretty important.
Fourth row on your left, Tyler, then Jason.
John, what are some of your standout World Series memories as a kid watching this event, and how much do you remember about the 92-93 Blue Jays?
Yeah, that one stands out, for a guy growing up in the Northeast in New Jersey, and, Joe Carter against the Phils, that stands out to me for sure. Every World Series stands out to me, whether I'm, this is the first time I'm here doing this, but you're always watching, and it's just the mountaintop of your sport and your profession. So, I mean, going back to like the Rangers and the Cardinals, those crazy games, you feel like there's always some crazy ones, you know, but so many jump into my mind, really. And they kind of all get jumbled up a little bit. But I think when you have walk-off hits, 2001, Arizona, New York, that stands out. Walk-off homer stands out. It seems like there's always a moment in any one of these games. It's pretty cool to be a part of.
Stay there with Jason.
Hey, John. Bo has been out for a month and a half. It seems difficult to then get dropped into a World Series game. What have you done to try to get him up to game speed at the when he's up to bat? And were there certain defensive boxes that you needed to see him check, like turning a double play from the other side of the field?
The offensive part, it's been kind of a slow drip, you know, even since when the DS started. We had a lot of live pitchers back here throwing, and he's been hitting for a couple weeks off live pitching. So you feel good about that. Bo is, I think, one of the most talented hitters, you know, actually like hitters in the game in terms of bat to ball, in terms of having a knack to drive guys in, hitting pitches that not everyone can hit. So that part you feel good about, and then talking to him with where his timing was, you know, you go, okay, I think he's ready. You know, is it hard to do? Hell yeah. I mean, this is not easy. You know what I mean? I think if there's anyone can do it, it's him. You know, you can probably drag him off vacation this offseason and say, go get a hit. He's probably the guy to do it. So that was part of it. The defensive part, you know, again, it's been a kind of a slow build up to this. And if he wasn't comfortable, we wouldn't put him on the roster, you know. And I think just with who he is in the organization, I trust him. I trust his feedback that he's given me too. So there was a couple check marks, you know, between base running and defense, and he hit them. So here we go.
Do two last ones, Jordan.
John, we talked to Bo about how he views you as a manager evolving since he played for you in the minor leagues. How do you self-evaluate the difference between Schneid's the manager today at the World Series and, you know, New Hampshire, Vancouver, Lansing, and so on?
This is going to sound funny. I think I'm closer to Schneid's in the minor leagues right now than I've ever been. This job is hard. This job takes reps. It takes messing up. It takes having success to get to where you are. I went into this year kind of just saying to myself, I'm going to be the authentic version of myself, and I'm going to let it rip, you know? And I think one of my biggest strengths is communicating with players and staff. And when you start this job, you know, you're trying to please everybody, right? I mean, I always say that, you know, everyone's answering to someone unless you're Edward Rogers, you know what I mean? So, you're trying to appease a lot of people. And I think I got caught up in that a little bit. So right now I feel like Schneid's the dude that grew up with these guys riding the buses and just kind of being one of them. At the same time, understanding that there's a certain expectation that I bring to the field every day from these guys. They get it. But I feel like I've evolved a ton in just 3 years on this job.
We'll finish up with Mike.
That was sort of where I was going as well. When Bo talked to us, he said that he feels like this year you've shown greater trust in everybody across the board. Do you feel that way as well?
Yeah, and I've always felt that way, you know. And I think that when you get so immersed in how hard this game can be and trying to do the right thing and trying to objectively match up, you lose sight of people sometimes, you know, and I've been guilty of that. And at the end of the day, it's, you know, the one sign I have in my office, you guys have seen it, is the man in the arena. You know, like, who do you want in the arena? You know, numbers are tools, and they're definitely helpful. But when you talk to the guys and you make time to kind of see where they're at mentally, I think it goes a long way, you know. And again, I've said it this entire year, this entire postseason, I trust every single guy on my team. Without a question, you know, and sometimes things work, sometimes they don't, but I trust every single one of them, and I think the more they feel that, the more free they can go out and play.
You said when you got hired that this was the job that you've been working your entire career for. And now that you sit here now, how much more difficult has it been than you anticipated? What, you've talked about you now versus you then, but back then you thought you had a handle on it. And how does that guy look now?
That guy a couple years ago looks different than what I thought he would look like, if that makes sense. This is where, one organization, 24 years, right? So when I say you want to manage, you want to manage a team you're working for in the minor leagues. To have it come to fruition has been amazing. What comes with it, honestly, I probably wasn't ready for, all in real time, whether it was interim, first year. So I think the guy right now is the guy that everyone has been waiting for, myself included, you know what I mean, to be honest with you. And I don't want that to sound, selfish or conceited or anything. It's just me being real. So it's been fun. It's been horrible at times. I mean, I got gray beard, gray hair. I'm losing hair, but it's exactly where I want it to be. You know what I mean? And I think you have to just go through it. So happy that people have stuck with me, players, front office, staff, you guys. But just happy that, you get a chance to kind of learn in real time.
All right, Shines, enjoy tonight. Best of luck.
Thank you, guys.